Hello Scorpio, and welcome to your Scorpio December 2021 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who are stopping by for the first time, and I hope you're doing well, and welcome. And for the subscribers, much love and affection to you always. You know that, don't you? You're always in my thoughts. Well, December is always an interesting month in the spiritual calendars of many people from different parts of the world or different traditions, because we have from the 28th of November through to the 6th of December, I'm pretty sure that's Hanukkah, which is of importance to the Jewish members of our audience here. Then we get on the 8th of December, I'm pretty sure for the Buddhists. Isn't that Bodhi Day? Is that how I pronounce it? Am I pronouncing it correctly, or is that the correct thing? Isn't that the day upon which tradition has it that the Buddha received enlightenment? Then, of course, on the 12th of December, there is, for the Latina and Latino members of the audience, the wonderful feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that is a time and a feast which is well driven into the hearts of the members of that audience. Now, I'm pretty sure that from the 21st of December through to the 1st of January, that's Yule. Now, Yule, or Yuletide, that is of importance to the pagan and Wicca members of the community, because smashed in the middle of it is December the 25th, which is round about the time of the winter solstice. In the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, of course, it's the summer solstice, and all the South Africans and Aussies are out paddling on their surfboards at the moment, I guess, or have been before seeing this, and good luck to you. And the solstice, of course, was the time where it seemed like the dying sun regathered its strength and the days started to become longer. And that gave rise, of course, in ancient Roman times to the official religion centered around Sol Invictus, the sun god, or Sol meaning sun, Invictus, unconquerable, the unconquerable sun. And it was then, probably as a result of that, when a few hundred years later Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, the traditional birthday of Jesus Christ was celebrated traditionally on the 25th of December. Anyway, let's get 5 cards for you, shall we? If I've missed anybody, I don't think there's anything. There's the 10 of Swords. What a great place to have that from. Now, a lot of people think that's a scary card. I don't. I think it's a particularly good card for you at this time of year. Now, I don't think I missed anything. I don't think there's anything particularly auspicious. Ace of Cups, beautiful, beautiful. For the Hindu or Muslim members of the audience, if I've got that wrong, just let me know. There's the 10 of Discs. A fantastic card for you. There's the Magician. Oh, look, it's all happening. And what's this one here? There's the High Priestess. What a fascinating group of cards. Beautiful artwork on this. I think you will agree, because when you come down here and sit next to me, we're going to have a look at this together, and I'm going to do the reading for you. Then I think you should see those. I'm going to run up that diagonal, I think, and then maybe around that way. We'll see what comes. It's just that this priestess is giving me almost like the vibe for the reading for you for this month. This High Priestess, she says, I am all that has been and is and shall be, and my robe no mortal has yet uncovered. Well, she is the Hymen priestess, guardian of the gate of life and death with a veil of flesh. She parts her parchment scroll or these things like columnar legs to reveal the wisdom within. If you pull aside her veil, there may be several drops of blood, like crimson pomegranate seeds, to show that you passed that way. Now, interestingly, the High Priestess is the counterpart to the Magician, which you also have just down there. He is the masculine energy, Yang, and she is the feminine void, Yin. He is day, she is night. He is radiation, brilliance, and illumination. She is darkness and secrets. He is without, she is within. And together they are our spiritual mother and father and heavenly king and queen, and what an auspicious reality that you've drawn them both down on the same horizontal line like this. As the magician is the light and brilliant aspect of the primordial universe, and the high priestess is the dark and internal aspect, they are the very essence of duality. You have a darkness within you, places that you can't easily see. It is your subconscious and your unconscious, places that are not illuminated by the sun. If consciousness were an ocean, or waking consciousness would be a small island on the surface, subconscious would be all of that below, and there would be no end to it. It is a bottomless abyss. This is the abode of the high priestess, and being dark, it is fearful to some people. She is for me the priestess of the silver star, and has a great association of the moon with her. The moon represents cycles and going with the flow in life. So I think at this time, you are going to have access to your intuitive powers, healing. There's a great desire for independence here, increased self-confidence, but you'll also come to bring about some inner balance. Now, you'll be going through the process of discovering your own truth, maybe being in contact with your spirit guides, and possibly emotional stability. You see, she is in touch with her intuitive abilities and can trust them completely. She perceives and is connected with her own inner voice, the internal guide and healer, and this shows outwardly in her trust in and responsibility to herself. Like the camel, which can travel long stretches in the desert without water, you, when you have discovered your own inner spring, also radiate a satisfied sense of self-sufficiency. You find fertile oases in the innermost reaches of your being. And the more you accept yourself and share with others, the deeper the clarity of your perceptions will become. Even though it's this time of year, I do see some times when you're going to have some alone time to work out what you really want and to let your mind process things. This can also represent a platonic friendship, which is important to you. Now, there are changes on the inside necessary to make. You realize that changes on the inside are necessary to make changes on the outside. And you need to be in contact with and more confident with your intuitive feminine side. Now, the men don't get concerned. We all have a feminine side. It's just that the masculine predominates. You now have access to your intuitive powers, so develop them more fully. Guard your independence at this time. Are there areas in your life in which you allow others to influence you rather than trusting your own intuition? And see if you can seek out water as often as you can. Learn from it. Watch it. Say to yourself, I trust my intuitive abilities. I deeply honor and value the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive, and I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. Now, I said we'd travel up this diagonal. Gee, I'm looking at these things. These remind me, you know, in Christian scripture, the last book of the Christian scriptures, known as the New Testament, there's a book there called the Book of Revelation. And I'm sure there that in chapter 6, it says here that, I think what it said was, that goes with this, is that when the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Now, the astrology of this card is Mercury ruling the third decan of Virgo, that 13th to the 22nd of September. Now, this is really good, Mercury ruling Virgo, because Mercury rules, and it is also exalted in Virgo in ordinary astrology. So you're going to have great communication skills and really good organizational ability. And that comes from the Virgo aspect of the card here. So together there is success and abundance here. So there's inner and outer richness and the ability to make inner wealth visible and share it with others. You are going to have a real sense of richness and abundance. You might even have a sense of wealth. Maybe you're speculating on some of these altcoins in the cryptocurrency world. You'll have a sense of prosperity, or there'll be the markings of prosperity around you. Certainly, I think that there's good energy here for a supportive and tight-knit family. And for those who are involved in a family business, you might say, at last, things are going to start to improve. You know, you have attracted to you everyone who is a part of your life. You have created every situation in your life, and you create your own reality. The wealth in your hands is your own to do with what you like. The responsibility is yours, and you are endlessly wealthy. Do you know about your inner wealth, and do you share it generously? Maybe on a piece of paper, write down all of the qualities which constitute your inner riches and say this to yourself: I am internally and externally rich and free and enjoy everything thankfully and in surrender. Now this is another image which comes to me from chapter 6 of that book of Revelation, you know, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, as they are often known. This card here, now there's a verse in there which I'm sure says, when the Lamb, before there was the 3rd seal, well this is the 4th seal, when the Lamb opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, come. I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over 1/4 of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Now, ordinarily I'd say that this was a difficult card in every respect, but I don't think it is with these other things going on around you here. This is here's what the nub of the issue is for you in this reading with this, and it's to do with the astrology. The astrology here is the sun ruling the 3rd decan of Gemini, and the 12th or the 20th of June. Now, I encourage you to go onto my playlist and look at astrology for beginners and look at the spirituality of the symbol of Gemini and what it means, and you'll get the idea. See, here the sun, Gemini is all about just energy just flying in all directions. Sun ruling the 3rd decan of Gemini. Well, here the sun in Gemini is difficult as Gemini disperses the sun's energy, and perhaps it is also going to disperse your focus. And your focus can become entirely on the intellect, which is swords. And also, this 10 of swords is very unstable. It's very unstable. The divine energy flows through each of the tarot cards, and it's next going to go from the first world is wands, the second world is cups, the third world is swords, and then down into space and time, into space-time, into matter, the 4th world. The energy is going to flow into the ace of discs. So this is unstable. Now, I will say, and maybe this is here as a compensation of you, but this really shows the destructive power of constant negative thinking. There's a fear here, perhaps maybe of a broken heart, or of the destructive energy of accumulated anger, but particularly negative thinkings here. It's almost a feeling of having come about, living with the result of some wrong choices that you have made, or maybe feeling some grief over what has happened to somebody or yourself in relation to a relationship or events that have occurred around you. And if you have fear, you need to look at where the fears in your life lie and change the way that you are dealing with them. I suppose the question really here is that what is your greatest fear, or what are your greatest fears? How would the total destruction of your life look? If you were to say totally destroyed, what would it look like? And then look to see where you are now. And once you have recognized in what area your fears lie, formulate your own specific affirmations using only positive terms. And say this to yourself: I invite the positive into my life and welcome it wholeheartedly. But then again, I'm looking at the other end of this diagonal, and it's funny that I was drawn to her first. Remember her? Here she is. She really is almost the divine female principle. And the message that she is giving to you up through this diagonal, up through here at this time, is: hear me and understand me well, my youngest and dearest child. Let nothing frighten nor grieve you. Let not your heart be disturbed. Do not fear that sickness, nor any other sickness or anguish. Am I not here, who is your mother? Are you not under my protection? Am I not your health? Are you not in the crossing of my arms? What more do you need? Now, interestingly, on the same line here, you see, and these things are only temporary and remind that you are protected. Let's have a look here. Let's see who this is. Well, this looks like an archangel, doesn't it? Do you know, this has got Hugh written all over it, and I think important to you during this period also will be Sagittarius and Libra. Well, the Ace of Cups here is the angel, the constellation, the element of water, lunar, with the pure wings of the dove. It is yin, internal and soft. As a river, it flows around rocks where fire might blast through them. Now, the Ace of Cups is like the moon. It is internal looking and cyclic. The emotions often associated with the Suit of Cups have a very real and important reason to exist. They are the messengers of the subconscious, just like the angels are a messenger of God. Angel comes from the Greek word angelos, meaning messenger, by the way. That's how it was translated in the old days. Now, emotions are only what lie on the surface, though. Beneath are waters that are very deep, the reservoir of all human knowledge that we have inherited from our ancestors and their ancestors back to the very oldest of all living things on earth in an unbroken chain. It is very ancient and wise and speaks to us through emotions, dreams, visions, gut feelings, intuition, and through psychic phenomena. I don't know where the bottom of this water is. Maybe I think sometimes it actually has no bottom, but I know that it connects us all in a collective unconscious. And I know that you are the steward of a very ancient bloodline. Now, with free will comes free will of love, when you transcend the biological demands of the subconscious and truly begin to decide how you want to love, openly and without judgment or caution, without expectation of return, with purpose, compassionately. This is the kind of powerful, flowing force that is yin, and it can gently move mountains and shape the earth itself. I think that this is a period now where you will be obtaining emotional clarity. Do you know what I mean by that? I'm sure that you do. Do you know, with relationships, we are seeking to become whole by finding in others what we are lacking on our own. But you need to love yourself first before you can have anything to offer someone else, and before you can receive love that is offered. And I think that now you'll have a deep love of the self. There's giving and receiving here. The cup of unconditional love is being offered to you. Will you drink from it? It's a good opportunity for new relationships and for new romance here. Now, this can indicate a pregnancy as well, I think. Now, this represents unconditional love, so you should also give and forgive unconditionally to get inner peace. You are in contact at this time with all-embracing love. Remember, she says, what more do you need? It fills you, and you can pass it on generously, lavishly to others. What is your way of expressing love? Do you hold people like her in the cradle of her arms? Say this to yourself now. An all-encompassing love fills me and my environment. Well, that takes us finally, I'm pretty sure. Isn't that wonderful artwork, incidentally, don't you think? I think I do. I love it. Ooh, here is something that's interesting. Now, did I mention that this is a Metatron's cube? Do you know what a Metatron's cube is? It's part of sacred geometry, and it's a two-dimensional representation of 13 circles of equal size, which each have a line drawn from the center of it. Each circle has a line drawn from the center of it to the center of the other 12 circles. And then you end up with this pattern here. And it's about flowering, opening, and developing. But here's the magician. Now, just as the fool is nothing, in a sense, and by nothing I mean not really in nature, not incarnate yet, the magician is everything. It contains everything, and everything flows from it. The magician stands between the primordial mother hidden beneath the surface of the water here and the primordial father with his son. And lemonscape, that's the name for, or lemniscate, that's the name for the infinity symbol that you often see. Well, you'll often see it in the tarot, of course. Now, the two trees here, I think, a doorway between the spiritual and the material world. And the magician, cloaked in earth, is handing you a Metatron's cube. Metatron is an archangel mentioned in several ancient apocryphal, which means they don't form part of the Bible, the canon, the edited, selected books to form part of the Hebrew and Christian Bibles. But it is known outside of it, and the name appears in mystical texts. Now, no one knows. Look, I don't think anybody really knows where the name comes from. Some people speculate even as to what the name means. But he is notably Metatron in the Book of Enoch, which is an ancient, mystical, almost Kabbalistic book. Enoch was a scribe taken up by God through ascension. That is, he didn't die, but rather he was bodily, while alive, taken. Now, the metaphor is taken up to heaven, but of course heaven is here. Heaven is everywhere. The kingdom of God is among you. Now, after experiencing all the incredible visions and workings of heaven and hell, past, present, and future, he was himself transformed into the archangel Metatron, and then he thereby replaced the archangel Michael as the most senior of the angels. But what's important is that Metatron is an ascended human being. I could also call him the magus of power here. There's a great degree of Mercury around this card. Mercury balances with great skill the discussions between the gods and humans. He is a genius at using all the possibilities available to him. Now, in his duality, Mercury stands for truth and falsehood. He brings all set ideas and judgments into question, which often makes him appear in a questionable light himself. He is, well, I won't say immoral, maybe amoral. That is, doesn't have any regard to what necessarily is good or what necessarily is bad, because as a creative creature, he knows no conscience. He uses all tools, all methods to arrive at his goals. Now, the temptation to misuse his talents is great. His ability and skill lend him superiority and power. He moves on that very narrow border between white magic and black magic. This means he needs constant self-examination. He can use his talents in a self-seeking manner or in the service of love and light. I think that this is now a time for you to create something in your life and bring it into fruition in the way that you wish. You have a strong desire to begin something new, and this is about manifesting your goals by using the tools that you have. So focus on a specific goal, though. Don't scatter your energy, and have good motives and intentions, and it will happen. You'll have great communication skill during this period. That's also an aspect of Mercury. And you'll have playful dealings with all possible forms of communication. There'll be a great degree of mental flexibility in your outlook on the world. There's almost a brilliance about you at this time of year. There's action, power, manifestation of ideas and desire, willpower. You will be something of a smooth talker. And I think there'll be an idea around here for the desire for self-employment. That might be something that you are thinking of. In any event, I think that you now have at your disposal brilliant capabilities which you should share with other people. One important task is to find or create the proper surroundings for your activities. In what areas lie your talents? With what methods and in what surroundings can you pass them on or share them? Visualize your ideal area of activity. Describe it in detail to yourself. And say this to yourself: I create magic when I use my inherent gifts and talents. I honor the resources of skilled communication which are within me. The full expression of my creative potential fulfills me and makes me happy and satisfied. Well, what a fascinating reading for you. Good job. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, I thought that was really, really interesting. It looks like it's going to be a great month for you, and don't you deserve it? You really do, particularly coming up for this time of the year. It's busy for everybody, wherever you happen to be, and it's a wonderful time of year, and it's a wonderful time for you. Now also, don't forget, I have done a 2022 yearly calendar reading where I use some beautiful Renaissance art cards, 12 cards, one for each month of the year, which I think that you'll find delightful, and it's in particular, it points out what a good year it's going to be for you. But until then, have a look at that. But until then, I look forward to seeing you again next month. And remember though, always, and one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.